Today on Upfront, the Wisconsin race for governor generates intense national interest. Scott Walker's chances for 2016 may be on the line, so is the political power of organized labor. Next, labor unions target Walker after the collective bargaining battle. Today, AFL-CIO President Richard Trumka on why he thinks Walker will be defeated. And Republican National Committee Chairman Reince Priebus, who says the GOP's ground game will get it done for Walker. Plus, the race for Wisconsin Attorney General, why it's still a wild card.
Covering the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Up Front with Mike Goucher.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Up Front. Wisconsin's race for governor is coming down to the wire, and the entire nation will be watching the results Tuesday night. The latest Marquette Law School poll gives Republican Governor Scott Walker a 7-point lead over his Democratic challenger Mary Burke among likely voters. Among registered voters, it's a 1-point Walker advantage. A survey released Friday by Public Policy Polling done for Democrats gives Walker a 1-point advantage. Part of the intense national interest in this race has to do with speculation about whether the governor will run for president in 2016, should he be reelected. But it's also an outgrowth of the 2011 collective bargaining battle in which Walker took on public sector unions and won. We'll be hearing from the head of the national AFL-CIO shortly. But we begin today with the chairman of the Republican National Committee, Wisconsin's own Reince Priebus, on the satellite with us. Mr. Chairman, thanks very much for being with us. You're a close friend of Scott Walker's. How do you feel about this race with just a couple of days to go?
Well, I think for one thing, Scott's got a great message about the fact that he put the state in 5th out of the entire country in job growth. Last month had one of the best private sector job growth months in over a decade. So I think Scott's got a great message to the people of Wisconsin. And then you look at where Mary Burke's at, and you have to admit, I mean, if you're running her campaign, I mean, you couldn't have limped into the finish any worse off than, you know, reports coming out that you were fired or at least your position was eliminated by your own family after she plagiarized her jobs plan for the state of Wisconsin. That's not the way you want to come into the finish when you're challenging an incumbent. I don't think she's made the case to the people of Wisconsin that she should be governor, let alone deserves to be governor, after the race that she's run here and what she's done in regard to her own resume and her own plan.
Do you think it's a close race? Do you think it's a tight race at this moment in time?
Yeah, I think it's a tight race. I mean, I remember the days of me and Mike Tate sitting in front of you, and I in many ways miss those days. It was a lot of fun. But I'll tell you that it comes down to the same things we used to talk about, which is the ground game. And what you have in Wisconsin are two very good political parties. I actually think the ground game there on both sides is very sophisticated. And it's going to come down to what Abraham Lincoln said so long ago, which is find every Whig and bring them to the polls. It's the same thing we do today. The technology is a little better. There's more people involved. But it's the same concept. I think in the end, though, the sophistication in regard to the Republican Party of Wisconsin, Scott Walker's campaign, I just see them doing a much better job right now on absentee ballots that are in the box. The data seems to show that Republicans have an advantage. So I think Scott is going to win, and it's going to be, I think, pretty close, but I think ultimately he survives and does very well.
If he does survive, look into the future for me. Do you think he will run for president? Would you support him running for president if he wins?
Well, look, Mike, it's an interesting question, but I think ultimately he's made it pretty clear his plan is to be governor and stay as governor. I don't know what he's going to ultimately decide. I think right now the thing that matters is to make sure that we keep Wisconsin on the right path and elect Scott Walker again for a second term, I guess now for the 3rd time in 4 years.
Let's talk a bit about the national picture right now. Give me your sense of your chances of taking control of the Senate. Are you, I would assume you're optimistic based on the numbers and the data that you're seeing right now.
Yeah, I am optimistic. I mean, I think we're going to be at least net 6 on election night on Tuesday. Obviously, that means you're probably going to have a runoff in Louisiana. It's very possible you have a runoff in Georgia. But I think that means that things are going well for the Republican Party. You look at Colorado as an example. As we sit here over the weekend, we have over a 100,000 vote lead in Colorado. And it's not speculation, it's a real balloting because it's all mail-in ballots. Tom Cotton in Arkansas is doing well. Joni Ernst in Iowa is ahead. Dan Sullivan in Alaska is ahead. And I mean, the list goes on and on. I just see good things happening for the party, but most importantly, I think it's good things for our country to get one of those 350 jobs bills signed by this president and get ourselves moving in the right direction, get our debt under control, and really box the president in to actually get something done in this country. I'm surprised that Mary Burke actually thought that it was a good idea to bring, you know, Barack Obama in for a $16,000 fundraiser per person. But she did, while other Democrats are running from a president that really has messed things up in this country.
Well, let me follow up on something you just said. If you gain control of the Senate, so you have the House and the Senate, Republicans do, you're going to box the president in. I mean, realistically, what do you think could be accomplished if your party is in control in both the House and the Senate?
Well, I mean, for one thing, Mike, people forget, and we've got the best budget guy in America, in Paul Ryan in Wisconsin, you can pass a budget without the president. You know, it's one of those little anomalies in legislation in Washington that with the House and the Senate, you can actually pass a budget. So that's one thing that can be done. It's a big thing to get our markets on track, get our interest rates on track. So that's a big thing. The second thing is I think you pass the Keystone Pipeline, which helps us get to more energy independence in this country. And I think when you do that, I think that's one of those issues, Mike, that although the president's been a huge obstacle, I think the pressure is going to be so enormous on the Keystone Pipeline that even the president is going to feel compelled to sign that bill. There's another 350 bills that are sitting on Harry Reid's desk. I'm sure that if we pass out, you know, 150 of those bills up to the president, he's going to have to sign some of them. And they're, in many cases, very good bills. Skills Act, getting people trained in this country. Many more that I won't bore you with, but I can assure you that there are a couple items in there that I think would truly help get our country moving forward, and then it'll be off to 2016.
So 15 seconds left. So you don't see gridlock should your party be in control of both houses?
Well, I'm sure that the president is going to try to block everything he can and try to move forward with executive amnesty, which is something that we oppose. But I think there's enough enough on the plate, and there's enough bills and enough legislation that I think is good for our country that he's going to feel compelled to sign. Otherwise, his brand is going to be further south than it is today, and no one's going to want to be seen with the president come 2016.
Reince Priebus is the chairman of the Republican National Committee. It's good to have you back on the program. We appreciate it. Thanks very much.
Thank you, Mike.
Coming up next, organized labor trying to flex its political muscle. Labor union boss Richard Trumka on why he thinks Governor Walker will lose and what unions are doing to try to make that happen. And later, the balance of power in the state Senate, what insiders say it'll look like after Tuesday.
Up Front with Mike Goucher, brought to you by the American Transmission Company and the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association.